Hi, it's good to meet you. My name's Andy Walsh, and in this presentation, I'm going to be introducing you to my wife, Kati, our daughter, Eva, and also the work which we're called by God to go on to do in Brazil as CMS Mission Partners in Brazil. So this is just a 5 to 6 minute presentation. I hope at some point soon we'll be able to meet in person. But in these next few slides I'm going to be sharing with you, I'm going to be explaining how our call to mission has been formed over many years. I'll be looking to share around some of the scope of work we'll be engaged with, which has been shaped over the last couple of years in partnership with CMS, and also to cover specifically what some of our primary objectives and our vision is for going to the city of Florianópolis, Brazil. I'll be explaining a little bit about some of the cultural differences together with where, the makeup of the city and some of the challenges we're going to be facing. And finishing off with how we're going to be keeping in contact and working in partnership with you, whether you're an individual supporter or whether you're a member of a family or a supporting church. It's really good to be doing this together with you, and I hope that some of the next few minutes will provide some further detail and explanation in terms of who we are and what we're going on to do. So I'm going to begin with who is CMS. CMS stands for Church Mission Society. It's an organisation with a long track record. It's sent thousands of missionaries across the world over its 220-year history. It was founded in 1799 by William Wilberforce, who was key to abolishing the slave trade, of course, as we know. And if I could give this presentation a title and the scope of work that we'll be doing in a nutshell, it is Pioneering Mission on the Edge. And I'm going to unpack that as we go along. But without any further ado, it's important that I explain that we are a 3-member family unit. It's not just myself that's going. It's also together with my wife, Kati. Kati is from Brazil. We speak Portuguese at home. We've been living in Leeds over the last 7 or 8 years, and we got married in the city of Florianópolis, Brazil, where it is in fact we're heading to. And in 2019, Eva, our 2-year-old daughter, was born in Leeds, and so Eva is also, of course, going to be joining us and growing up and going to school in Florianópolis, Brazil. So as I was mentioning, our call to mission, that's both Kati and myself as individuals, has been shaped over many years. I should add that I am dual nationality Argentinian and British, so South America has always been part of my heritage, and I've gone to places like Brazil and Argentina over many years, including on short-term mission placements. I've also gone to short-term mission to places like Hong Kong and volunteered at projects such as that, as the St. Stephen's Society led by Jackie Pullinger, and also provided relief work and led teams that have been affected by disasters such as the tsunamis in Sri Lanka. I've also got a 20-year track record of working professionally in the UK, supporting marginalised sectors of the community such as people coming out of prison or the homeless, trying to support them into better opportunities in life, whether that be through better accommodation, employment, training, recovery from drug abuse. So I've managed government-funded projects as well as adopted ministerial roles in the church. Kati, on the other hand, has been trained as a lawyer in Brazil, and so she comes with a very strong legal background around some of the issues that particularly young people and families face, particularly broken families. She's had a lot of experience in mentoring young girls from broken homes and also volunteering in orphanages in Brazil. So there are a number of factors that have clearly shaped our call to mission. It's not just knowing the word and our position and identity in the word, but clearly we have a shared heart for working with the marginalised, the lost and the broken. We've got specific key skills that will help make a difference, we believe, and clearly there are some unique events that have taken place in our lives that has formed who we are, and together it's all these combined factors that contribute to firmly and clearly shaping our call to serve God in South America and specifically in Brazil. So a little bit about the city where we're heading to. I suppose many of you will have not heard of the city called Florianopolis because it's not a big city comparative to other ones. As you can see, it's kind of halfway between Sao Paulo and Porto Alegre. Those are 6 or 7 hour drives either side, by the way, because it's such a big country. So Florianopolis itself is a big city relative to UK terms. It has about 1 million people, so about the size of Birmingham in terms of population. But it's also a very diverse place. It has people from descendants from Western Europe, for example, that may have arrived there at the early 20th century. It also has descendants from African nations. It has an Argentine community there. But it's also marked and is reflective of many other cities in Brazil with a stark socio-economic divide. There are wealthy people there as well as some very poor people. And it's the latter group, of course, that we're looking to closely engage and work with. So this is a typical scene on the side of a hill, for example, where you've got slum housing, which is locally known as a favela. As many as 12 million people in Brazil live in favelas. Often these are buildings that have been constructed by local people without any regulation, and there is no real access to water or electricity. Some of them have electricity, of course, but it's not implemented in the right way. As many as 25 million children also don't access mainstream education, many of which live in the favela community. And many of these favela communities are controlled by drug lords in gangs, and there's a lot of trafficking and prostitution that takes place in an environment like this. So it's in these types of communities and these types of issues that Kati and I feel called to work in. Another key area is the prison system, whether it's for the adult males, the youth, or the women's prison. So this is a photograph, for example, of the Florianopolis Penitentiary for adult males. But clearly this is another key area where there is minimal Christian presence at the moment. I happen to know and forge links with some of the pastors that go in there, but it's really off the back of their spare time that they go in there. So there's no really a recognised chaplaincy there at the moment. There's also clearly a lack of opportunities for people when they come out of prison. And when we think about the Rehabilitation of Offenders Act in the UK, this provides recourse for people to, after serving in their custodial sentence, to find employment, whereas that is not something that translates into the Brazilian way of life. And there's such a lot of stigma attached to someone that's been in prison. So we're going to be looking to support that particular community when they come out. And the thrust of our approach is, of course, adopting a sustainable model. We're not coming with our experience and ways of doing things in the UK and saying this is how it's done. That's far from what we've got in our mind. We're going to be working with key personnel that have got the heart and skills and experience to take the work that we want to be doing in collaboration with local people, and so that at some point in the distant future, we're able to leave a legacy behind and allow local people to take forward some of the measures that and ways of working forward for themselves. So I did mention that our strapline in terms of the work we'll be going on to do is pioneering mission on the edge, and we've got 4 particular objectives that have been worked up together with help from CMS's input. The first one is outreach and evangelism to marginalised groups across the city. The second objective, which really is at the heart of having a pioneering spirit, is around making new disciples where Jesus is not known and where the local church struggles to be. And we can foresee that our work will take us to the refugees that are on the fringes of the city. These are people that have fled economic crisis, for example, in Argentina or Venezuela. So our third objective is around developing Christian community and establishing church into these subcultures. Now, clearly, some of the areas which I'm talking about, they are vast areas in terms of work, ministry, demands. And so this third objective is certainly something we see doing with teams of upcoming leaders from the Vineyard Church in Florianopolis and mobilising upcoming leaders. And really that this is a long-term objective, particularly around establishing church And the fourth area and final area is around training upcoming leaders and providing some teaching into the Discipleship Centre, which is led by the Vineyard Church, so that we are actively engaged in equipping upcoming leaders for local mission. So four ambitious and also diverse objectives, but we're very excited about this and working with CMS and also with you as our supporters. So I want to finish with around our partnership with you as a supporter or a supporting church. Every 3 or 4 months we're going to be issuing a regular update. It may look like that on the right hand side. It's come out and be sent out by CMS on our behalf to provide updates in terms of how our work is progressing and areas of concern for prayer, just so that you form part of our journey and we can share this journey together. We're also going to be using a variety of social media channels such as YouTube, particularly in Facebook. We've got a Facebook page that's active. If you just type in Andy Kati Brazil, it will come up. But ultimately, we want to work in collaboration with you. As a final note, given that it's 3 months before our indicative departure date of January 22, we do find ourselves in a fundraising period when we're not on track at the moment. So we are looking and actively seeking for individuals that may wish to support us both in prayer and financially to form part of our journey. And we'd be very grateful if you could take opportunity to reflect and pray whether you would like to be part of our support network. Thank you very much and God bless.